how to become unfazed by what someone does. When you're dealing with someone who's toxic or unhealthy or narcissistic, this is a challenge. So you're trying to learn how to brush off someone's unhealthy behavior so you don't become reactive, so you don't let it take you down a rabbit hole, so you can learn how to hold on to yourself when you do have to deal with this type of personality. Before we get into this week's video, this video is actually going to be two parts because there's so much information that will go into learning how to be unfazed by what someone's doing. So for this week's video, we're gonna have a part 1, and then next week we'll have a part 2. So let's get into this. First off, if you are dealing with this type of personality, there is a lot of self-care that is involved when you have to, deal with this type of person, whether you have to deal with them often or maybe not that often, but there's a lot of prep work that's involved when you kind of go in the ring and try to go toe-to-toe with this person. Self-care that prep work that you do before you try to go in the ring with this person is going to be you working on yourself. What does that mean? You have to fully know who you are. You have to fully know how to hold on to yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself. I go into it extensively in my new course on self-parenting. I'll actually link it here. It is a game changer. If you guys have been following me for years now, you know I talk about it very, very often in my videos on social media, and I definitely teach all of my clients this process. It is the process of being mentally healthy. So learning how to do this stuff for yourself. What does it mean to really have that bubble around you? What does it mean to actually learn how to love yourself? What does it look like day in and day out? You have to fully know how to do that before you ever try to go toe-to-toe with someone in the ring. Because if not, they're going to throw you off course because you're not balanced, you're not stable, you're not really secure in yourself, so you can receive those jabs, receive that toxic behavior, and have it just bounce right off of you. Taking care of yourself also means that you have worked on not seeking validation from this person. This is probably a really big one for most people, is that they want this person to see that they're unhealthy. They want to see that they're difficult. They can't even understand why this person is behaving the way that they do, whether it's giving them backlash, whether it's hurting them, whether it's saying like rude things, whatever's coming at you. Learning how to brush off someone else's toxic behavior, it starts with self-awareness. It starts with not seeking validation. It starts with really accepting someone for who they are and what they're capable of and where they're kind of at, and seeing that they are toxic, that they are unhealthy, that they are diseased, and not taking what they're doing personally. While that sounds easy, it's not something that's easy to do when you've had an emotional relationship with someone. Because if you've had an emotional relationship with someone, there's an expectation on what you think they should be doing to you, how they should be treating you. And that's something that you kind of have to grieve. You have to mourn. Acceptance requires grieving and mourning. That self-care piece also means, and I know this sounds silly probably to some people, but if you know you're going to court with someone who's narcissistic and maybe you're getting divorced, or you're going through a breakup, or you know that you have to talk to a family member and they're just unhealthy, right? And they don't acknowledge like when they're wrong or things like that, you have to be rested. And I know that sounds maybe ridiculous, but you are essentially, in those moments, you're being tested. Everything that you have learned, everything that you are practicing, everything that this person is trying to teach you to do for yourself and be that sturdy rock where you can see these things. And not that you're a rock and you're unemotional and you're not a human. Of course, you're going to feel. But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the process of leaving that interaction and feeling and grieving and mourning. That's something completely different. I'm teaching you how to be unfazed by what someone does in the moment. And afterwards, these things will also help you to soothe yourself and grieve through the process of having to accept that this person is who they are. But being rested and eating well and getting exercise, those things, and listening to affirmations like I always tell you guys to do, those things make you feel strong. So when you're stressed, when you're worried, when you're insecure, when you're, depressed, when you're in any of those phases that we don't enjoy, that means that there is some aspect that you're not taking care of yourself. There's an aspect of yourself that you're neglecting. And when we eat right, when we exercise, when we listen to our affirmations, when we're doing meditations, when we fill our cup up to make us feel whole again, it gives us a certain level of strength and energy to be able to then tackle the world. Now, you're not Superwoman or Superman where you're going to be able to do this every day of your life. You're going to have days where it's a struggle and you feel a little weaker, and that's perfectly fine. This is about just making sure that if I fall off the horse, that I know how to get back on. And that's a really important step towards mental health, is understanding that life's gonna throw things at you. So it's not about being sturdy as a rock and being unaffected by everything that happens to you, but it is about understanding that when stuff does happen, because it's going to, whether it's this person or another person or a different situation, that you know how to take care of yourself. You know how to learn what's going on, to not take what's happening personally, right? Things like that. To be unfazed is to really understand these key fundamental things that we're about to go into. Now, before you enter in the ring with someone who you know is toxic and unhealthy, the first thing is the fact that you even know that this person's difficult or narcissistic. It gives you an advantage because it allows you to understand or accept that there are going to be things that this person is going to do that are going to ruffle your feathers, that are going to tick you off. And I think when you really come to terms with who someone is, it is a game changer because it allows you to have the upper hand. So you now know, that was a tongue twister, you now know the secret. You now know that, okay, you're unhealthy. And when you're unhealthy, the behavior that you kind of like spew out to me is going to be this, or that you might say something really toxic. So you kind of start expecting it. And so when you expect it, then you're not caught off guard. So before you go toe to toe with this person, you're kind of like prepping yourself. I mean, it's like walking on stage and having to give a speech. It's like going to a job interview. You really need to learn how to be your own cheerleader. You need to learn how to feel that sense of power and connectiveness that you have with yourself so you can really hold on to yourself and not take what this person does personally. The tongue twisters today are nonstop. When you haven't fully accepted that and you're still projecting yourself or you still have an expectation, you're going to always be reactive to this person. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to also subscribe. Check out all of my links to all of my information down below. We are actually doing a really great deal for the month of May. If you purchase my 9 Weeks to Emotional Healing course, you will actually get my self-parenting course for free. Also, if you are interested in signing up for my newsletter, you will get 20% off any of my courses regardless. So check out the links down below for that information, and I'll see you next week.